We bring the situation.
You decide, is it petty or is it valid?
Welcome back to the Petty or Valid podcast. We are your hosts, Jan.
Antoine.
In today's episode, we actually don't have a story. However, Twan and I were sitting at home watching a TV show, and we came across a situation.
There was basically a married couple that were not on the same page about having more children. So the gentleman decides behind his wife's back that he was going to basically go get fixed. She did not know this. She was blindsided. She's expecting more children, and he's sitting there like in the counseling session basically confessing that he can no longer have kids because he went to get fixed.
Might we add, they already have 3 children together, but she wanted a 4th. Was his move petty or was it valid?
Ooh, yawn. I ain't even. I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember sitting down watching this episode with you, and I'm like, bro, there's no way that we just found this out on national TV in front of the world, and there's no way that she just found out in the way that she found out. So I'm gonna go straight up with. I think it was petty. It was definitely petty. And I want to say this. You know, women are in most situations they're in control, right? It's my body. I choose whether I want to bear children, bear more kids, stuff like that, right? We're so used to this power dynamic and this type of conversation happening all the time. But I think it was interesting how the gentleman basically said he's turning the tables, and he's deciding that he no longer want to, I guess, give more kids or expand the family and things of that nature. So it's pretty interesting for him to take that position to say, no, women are always in power, and society will come and support these women if they decide, I don't want no more kids. He's trying to force me to have kids. It's my body. It's just that. He don't know what I go through, postpartum, X, Y, Z. They got all these reasons on why it's legit for them to make that decision without consulting with their partner. But I think on both hands, right? Not necessarily picking or choosing or trying to put a gray line there like it's no double standards. I think it's wrong to make a decision like that without consulting and having a conversation with your partner. You feel me? Like I just think it's pretty petty. Where you kind of see that?
So I actually agree with you. However, I want to know if he did come to her and she does not give him the okay to do so, then what? What do you think should happen at that point?
Wow. I think at that point I think you move to different solutions. Okay, cool. If that's the case, then I'm wearing condoms. If that's the case, then I'm being more careful. If that's the case, then, our intimate life is going to change. It's going to take some, we got to adjust together and continue to communicate. But I don't think it's a sticky situation because it's like, oh, it's my body, it's my life, and he might be afraid that he's gonna get caught up too. You know what I'm saying? Like she might try to trap him. That's what they say. And I don't even know how that's possible. How do ladies trap guys? Like, what is that?
So it's possible.
Oh, so it is possible.
It's possible.
Oh, okay. Well, then, if that's the case, that makes it a little bit more tricky. You know what I'm saying? But I still think it's petty to go make the decision without even, first and foremost, he hadn't even had the conversation. But like you said, if it was presented that he did have a conversation, she doesn't agree, doesn't consent. Whoa, I think you keep having the conversation. You take it to counseling. I think you go get help and you go explore different ways that you can go about, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of, but then I got a question for you, since you had a great question. So then what happens if she doesn't give the consent and they do pursue, counseling and they're having the conversation, and during that process, he pops up or she pops up pregnant and now the 4th child's on the way. Like, do you think that it is okay for that to have happened? Like, what do you think?
Absolutely. I absolutely do think that's okay to have happened because previously they agreed on a 4th child. They did agree on a 4th child. However, his mind just shifted after some time, you
Okay.
know? So maybe he never really wanted a fourth child. Maybe he did. Maybe he was just saying it for her.
Hmm.
But either way, had she just popped up pregnant, it was okay.
Whoa. So he never, well, he did want it at one point. That's a good question. Is it okay for him to have changed his mind and throughout the time or throughout the process, right? Was it okay for him to change his mind? And let's just say, let's flip. Well, let's start there. It was it. Do you think it was okay for him to change his mind in the first place?
Absolutely. Had they had no children, then maybe not. But they already have three. So I do think that it's okay to, change your mind. Like, okay, three is a bit much because us women, we do it all the time. Like, okay, I have one. I know we talked about a big family, but I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't, So I do think it's okay for him to change his mind, especially being that they already have three children.
Yeah. So you basically saying if she's saying this is too much for me, that should be okay. And that's more common. More women to say it's too much for me. Motherhood is too much. I'm here with these kids every day. You don't see what I'm going through, X, Y, and Z. But when those tables are turned and the gentleman is saying that's too much for me, do you think that she should have taken? Do you think that he would have been more? What's the word? Um, I think he definitely should have bought the conversation and been more responsible with her. But do you think that she should, if he had brought the situation to her, should she have been understanding of that, or should she have been pushing for the fourth?
Um, Absolutely. Absolutely. She have to be like I don't understand why she would not understand that.
Hmm.
Like I that's just crazy. Like you have to be under like you have to understand that he doesn't want any more children.
Yeah.
You guys already have three. And so it doesn't matter if they only had one. It's a conversation. I say this in every episode. You have to communicate. And if they could not come up with, a common ground, then they got to get counseling. But absolutely, she should take into consideration whether he wants another child or not.
Yeah.
And so it's the same no matter who's presenting it, whether it's her or him. Like,
Agree.
communicate about it.
Agree. And I do that. I do think that there is something to be. There's a deeper conversation to be had in reference to this scenario because I do believe that women have more power and more rights and more acceptance for making a life, a decision like that. If she went to get her tubes tied, right? I think it's what y'all call it. If she went and got her tubes tied, etc., without him knowing, let's say they had a conversation and he she didn't want more, but he wanted more, and she said, "This is my body," and he didn't agree with her, but she decided that I'm going to go get my tubes tied. Let's say the situation was flipped. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that there would have been more of a social acceptance of her making such decision to be empowered as a woman?
Social acceptance. Actually, yes, I do think that society would say that that was okay to do. Do I think that's okay to do? Absolutely not. I don't, not to say like I don't care anything about, oh, it's the woman's body, but it's wrong. You don't just go get your tubes tied because you don't want any more children.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't work like that. Um, don't be comment bullies, but that's just what I think. Um,
I agree with you, by the way.
yeah, you can't move like that. Like you can't. So if I must say whether I think it's petty or valid, I think it is very much valid for him to have the feelings he had and not want any more children. However, I do have to say I think it is absolutely petty of him to go and have this procedure done without his wife knowing.
Indeed. I 100% agree with you right there, Yana. Like,
And wait, and let me add this. I even think that it would have been even better had he told her and she disagreed with his choice. But he told her, like, this is what's going to happen. So at
Mm.
least she would know. You know what I'm saying? Like, she would at least know. But
I agree. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to agree with you right there. If we have this conversation and we continue to have this conversation and we can't come to a mutual ground, at some point I tried to invite you in on this decision with me after we already had three. We just talking about one more, right? This is not make or break of our family because you had this dream in your head of having four or five, but we stuck at two or three, right? If it's overwhelming for the other individual, then that it should be overwhelming. But I like your position, wife. I invited you in so that you can indulge into this hard decision with me together, or this big decision together. But if you refuse, at some point, I have to step to you and say, "Hey, here's what's about to happen. I'm going to get X, Y, and Z because I am." Completely convicted, like I am sure that this is not what I desire, and I do think that any person should have that right to make that decision, and your partner be all right with it. Now it's different if you don't have no kids. Right? And you like, hey, I don't want none at all. That's a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? But I think in this scenario, being that they have three, the family's already, relatively a big family. So one more is not going to make a break. I 100% agree with you.
all right, y'all, let us know what you think in the comments. If you think it's petty, drop a P. If you think it's valid, drop a V. We want to hear from y'all.
And like we always say, don't be petty all your life, all right? Stay valid, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Holla.